Welcome to SYA and Founders Day. This is such an incredibly exciting time of the year, any year, but this year in particular. As you know, we didn't have any students at SYA this past academic year. In fact, we had to evacuate students the year before because of the pandemic, although they kept with us online. So to have students with us now in Europe has just made all of us smile nonstop since they landed there just a few days ago. And we're also very excited that the year, while sure there's going to be some remnants of the pandemic for us to maneuver, but we do know that we're going to be able to deliver on SYA's mission, that we get them out and about, that we get them really immersed in life in their city, in their country, and we're off to a great start. So we're excited by all of that. As many of you know, that last year when we didn't have students there, we were able to bring back our faculty in December to really plan for this coming year. And that's been really an amazing time for them to bond and to think about ways to approach learning and teaching. And as you've heard me write and speak about this, that we really are trying to make this as immersive an experience for students as possible. So the way I like to describe it is you really get the kids out of their seats and into the community. So the homework that we're giving them now is not busy work. It is really kind of getting out in the community and going down and talking to the local shop owner and figuring out what that's all about, and spending much more time with their host families to learn about their family tree and about their customs and to meet each other. So it's really been an evolution that is taking it to the whole other notch. And in fact, this year we have experiential courses in each of the languages that's offered on our campuses, and we get the students out and about, and that's their work day to day. So that's really nice to see. With me today is Holland Lynch, who's our incoming board chair, an SYA alum herself, and in fact I would say the first SYA alumna to chair our board of trustees. And a little bit of history on our board of trustees. For many, many years, the SYA board was just made up of school heads. In fact, the founding school heads, Exeter, Andover, and St. Paul's, and that expanded, and now we have a robust board made up of school heads and actually more alums and some parents as well. So it's really a vibrant board. It's one of my most exciting times when we sit around and have these spirited discussions about where SYA is going and how we support all of us. And speaking of support of SYA, the other thing that makes me smile endlessly is the success of our first ever capital comprehensive campaign. We had targeted $18 million, and as we wonderfully crossed over the finish line, in fact, brought in even more than that. We $18.4 million, and I have to note that we did that during a pandemic, which says to me how strongly our alumni feel about the experience and about that experience in their whole life. And what I hear time and time again from alums is just that SYA year surpasses virtually any other experience that they had. And I just have this past week talked to the students and parents as they were getting ready to leave on the Logan airport and flight, and you could tell that they were intrepid, just like the 56 years before, all during those years of students getting over there. Clearly they have made a leap that's even bigger this year just because of the pandemic and what they're coming out of, and what they're looking forward to. And it just makes my heart warm about all of this work that we do and dedication to. So I'm going to ask Colin to talk a little bit about her pathway to SYA France in the 1980s and her pathway to volunteer and now becoming board chair, and where she sees us going with that. So Holland, welcome.
Well,
great to see you.
Thank you, Tom. And I'm just so happy to be here in North Andover today. And listening to you talk about the kids, and they jump right into their experience. I remember so well getting off the bus in Rennes, and you get on the airplane in Boston and think, oh yeah, this is it. And then I think we might have taken a bus, I guess, from the airport to Rennes, and you get on the bus and think, oh yeah, this is it. But when you step off the bus and into the car of your family and go home with them, that really is it. And those first days of total immersion into everything that is, well, for me it was France, but the country where students are is just, I remember it very clearly, and it makes such a deep impression and sets such a great framework for the rest of the year and all the work that they're doing.
And as you were talking about that, I have said to people that I think the SYA secret sauce is the host family.
Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
that it really distinguishes us among so many other programs and offerings out there.
100%. And so I know you asked me about my own experience, but one of the things that's gotten me so excited just thinking about this year and everybody going back, I was thinking about it's so wonderful for all the students, but there's this whole ripple effect on so many people when those students go on school year abroad, and it's the families that they host, and it's a two-way street. You know, the kids get a lot from the families and the families get a lot from the kids, and it's a relationship that often lasts for the rest of their lives, and the teachers and the staff here, everybody. And then just the homeschools too. They get the benefit of all these kids coming back next year. So,
in fact, I would just add too, when Pat Scanlon was talking to the Italy group, he said one of the local merchants came up to him and said, "Are the kids coming back?" And he said, "Yes." He goes, "That's magnificent." Yeah, so I'm just really happy about the whole thing.
I'm sure. I don't know if the cafe, the Duchesse on, is still near the campus in Rennes. But I'm sure they will be delighted that the kids are back. So I was in Rennes, a class of 1986, and I came from Hotchkiss School in Connecticut. I was born and raised in California, so I had already come east for boarding school. And while I was at Hotchkiss, I really enjoyed my French classes, and I had taken French in elementary school too. Always been a subject I had liked, and I had always enjoyed traveling and adventure. And as with so many other kids, it was my French teacher who, maybe she literally tapped me on the shoulder, but figuratively at least, and said, "You might be interested in school year abroad. Maybe you should have a look." And I did, and my parents were 100% on board. They were very supportive of all of us going out and becoming independent people. And so they said, "Sounds great," and off I went, and I loved it. And there was a Hotchkiss student there. I went as a junior, and she was a junior when I was a sophomore, and I really admired her. And so I thought, well, I think if I could do something that she does, that would probably be really great. That's the 16-year-old brain at work. And had a wonderful year there. I lived in the suburb of Rennes, and had a chance to look back through my journals recently, and very funny to see the evolution from arriving in that first weekend, and my journal full of, well, this is different, and that's different, and I don't know how I'm going to figure this out, and well, what about this? And then getting to the end of the year, and it was just all, about very mundane things, and, nothing was new, everything felt comfortable, it was just life as I knew it. So it was a great year. I came back to Hotchkiss, and then went on to Georgetown, and became a French major. So.
Wow, terrific.
Yeah.
And how did you get involved in the alumni ranks?
Well, SYA was always the most important year of schooling, really, in my entire time of schooling. There was no question. So I always wanted to be able to give back in some way. And I started out, I don't know actually if we do this anymore, but I interviewed kids as an alum to go. And I loved it. I just could not get enough of these kids, and I wanted, of course, I wanted them all to be accepted, because we'd have these wonderful conversations, and they were all wonderfully motivated. But that kept me connected to that, and I like to think I donated to the annual fund. I hope I did. But then I was asked if I would be interested in doing the philanthropy council, and that's a fundraising arm, and I was very happy to ask people to consider giving to SYA. It's very easy when you feel as dedicated to an organization as I did, and as grateful. And then we started hosting the party in San Francisco, and I don't remember how many years we did that, maybe 5 or 6 years. It was so fun. I mean, to all the alumni out there, you are amazing people, and you are really, really fun. And I just
and very interesting. And there's great stories, and when you think about it, at age 15, 16, 17, making that choice, you have depth to you.
Yes.
You know, so it's really fun to be with the SYAers.
It was great, and so that led to just staying in touch with the organization, and then I was asked to be on the board, and here I am. So it was.
We're delighted to have you at the helm of the board, and any thoughts of the work you and I will do this year on that?
Well, we've had lots of thoughts, and well, my first thought is how fortunate we all are that you are at the helm of SYA. I mean, there could not be a better head of school, in my opinion, and so very excited about that. And we've been talking, we're at a great point. We have essentially completed all the priorities of the previous strategic plan, and we find ourselves at a time when we can start to reflect and then think strategically again. And we've got an atmosphere now that's really changing in the world of education because of COVID, and just international travel, obviously. But it opens up a lot of great conversations about where SYA sees itself and in what space in the next 5 or so years. So as a board, we'll be spending a lot of time thinking about those next few years and where we envision ourselves being as a school in that time. And this fall in particular, I'm really excited. We're on the schedule for our meeting, a facilitated conversation around issues of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. And we have not done that yet as a board, although I know there's been work.
Last year, when the faculty came back, they did a lot of immersive conversations about that. And also we talked to our host families about welcoming a diverse group of kids from America and how that connects with what they're going to be learning and doing in the country. So the conversations have been really taken off in country, and now it's time for us as a board to kind of take that in, absorb it, and where we want to go with it as at the macro level.
Right, yeah. Right, and it is so multi-layered with SYA, just because we have kids from so many different sending schools, and we're looking at these issues in different countries and so different cultures. So there's really a lot to dig into, and it will be wonderful to have that conversation in the fall meeting when we will be in person, because I think it will be much more productive for us to be here than to be over Zoom, which alas has been the fate of so many of us in the last year. So those are some of the things that I'm excited about working on and looking forward to.
And Holland, to pick up on what you were talking about with the last strategic plan, the focus really was to get kids out of their seats, as I said, and to support the faculty in thinking about new ways to approach the teaching. And I think that one of the next things you and I talked about is the challenges that we have in terms of educational landscape changing and all that. And I think it's how do we talk about SYA in the most compelling ways and figure out ways to really touch base with as many schools and many students. And I'll make a plea here and to our alums, because I think the word of mouth is clearly our strongest recruiting tool. So when a student turns to another student says, like your friend, I was there and you looked up to her and you kind of said that. And also parents, if you know, and plant the seeds early too. I think it's not just an instantaneous thing like it will grow in a month. Takes a little while. I went there, you're now a high school freshman, you might think about this. And it's time and time again when we ask where they've heard it from, it's a neighbor, it's a relative, it's whomever. So so thank you alums out there for spreading the word, because it really makes a difference.
Yes, indeed. I would agree with that 100%. And that's one of the things I'm excited about being board chair, is doing as much of that as possible, spreading the word and you know, meeting alums and helping to spread the word, because I think that's really the best way to get people interested and excited about it.
Great.
Yes.
I think we will, as we're finishing up here, we can edit that part. As we're finishing up here, I just again want to thank Holland for her dedication to this, and really the two of us look forward to the years ahead as SYA. We all come out of the pandemic, but know that how strong we are in a position coming out of the pandemic. The wind at our sails because of that incredible capital campaign. And the other thing I'd say is that it's amazing the number of students with us this year in each of the, you know, in France and Spain, there's kind of 65-ish kids. That's an enormous number. In Italy, right now, it's about 45, and that's usually about the number we have. And it's just great to see kids emerging from behind the Zoom screen and really immerse themselves into what's happening. And we have a lot of excitement both from our alums and our students, and both of us look forward to updating you with all the news from this year. So thank you for all that you do, and look forward to keeping in touch.
Yes. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.